Good morning. We're going to focus on something just a little bit different today. Normally, I wait to experience all of this stuff with all of you together. I couldn't wait. I was just so excited. This is from the same place in Puerto Rico that I bought the honey coffee from, which is they do regular coffee, which I also have up there, which we'll be trying tomorrow. But this coffee is normally they're cleaned off. The cherries are cleaned off, the beans are washed, they're dried, and then they're roasted. Well, in the case of the honey, most of the cherry is cleaned off, but there's enough left around it to cause fermentation while it dries, and so it turns into like a honey consistency. And then they wash them off, and then they dry them, and then they roast them, and then they send them out. So that's basically what that is. These are the coffee cherries. This is a tea, which I'm very excited about. It's cascara, it's sun-dried cascara, and I have something to read. It does have caffeine in it. It doesn't have as much caffeine as coffee, but it still has caffeine in it. It does have a berry tart taste to it, making it taste more like cherry, like a tart cherry rather than a raisin is described, which is good because I hate raisins. So basically, cascara, which means husk, peel, or skin in Spanish, is dried skins of coffee cherries. They are pulped skins and collected after the seeds have been removed from the cherries. They are then dried in the sun before they are packaged and shipped off, which is what happened here. The dried bags of coffee cherries are not unlike bags of tea. The main visual difference of the piece of cherries are slightly bigger than a leaf and have a leathery, woody look similar to dried raisins or the shell of a nut. So let's take a look at these really quick. To do tea, I bought a new thingy here. Got one. It's clear. It's a Bodum. It's a coffee press, but you can do it with tea, and that's probably what I'm going to use this specifically for. 7 grams of this in here, and then 230 grams of water in here. And that doesn't seem like a whole heck of a lot, but it's not a lot of water either. So let's take a look at this. Look at these. So these are the dried cherries from coffee beans. And look, there's even a little bit of coffee bean left on that. Coffee beans, when they come out of these before they are roasted, are green for the most part. But yeah, look at this. So there's the cherry. It's very leathery. Almost feels like the husks off of acorns. Maybe like the little weird pieces. When you break open a walnut, you get the walnut, but then you get these little dried kind of pieces that are kind of attached to the walnut that you break off and you don't want to eat. Kind of like that. They're really cool. And they do have a smell, and they do smell like raisins, which is very interesting to me. I don't hate raisins. I would just prefer not to eat them. So let's put that in there. And it's not even a gram. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 7 grams. Okay, yeah, we'll do 9. You know what? We'll do 9. I didn't read how long it should brew. It gave me ratios. Let's see here. How to brew. General guideline. Steeping dried coffee cherries in hot water. Because coffee cherry tea is relatively new to the United States, there's not an exact recipe for brewing the perfect cup. Yeah, so 6 tablespoons of tea to every 10 ounces of cold water. That's for cold brewing. I don't want cold brewing. I'm hot brewing this sucker. 2 heaping tablespoons, which is about 5 to 7 grams per 8-ounce cup of water just off the boil. So that's about 230 grams of water. So we'll up that to about 250 because of the extra little bit. And doesn't look like there's very much in there, does it? It does. It smells like raisins, and it's really neat. I didn't know this was a thing. Saw it advertised on their website, which I will again link in the comments. Hang on a second. Let me pull up their website here. There you go. Okay. I mean, I'm gonna butcher that, but that's the coffee place right here. And yeah, like I said, I'll link it. Terrafé, Puerto Rico. The website's beautiful and is full of so much information. I'm really excited for this natural process. I'm waiting for them to come out with that, and I've talked about it before, but this is dried with the full cherry on, so it's very fermented. This is the honey process, which is fermented, but I don't think it's as that will be. So, all right, so we're up there. I need to clean my stove off, don't I? I have dishes over here to do anyway, because he made a wonderful, made some wonderful pasta sauce last night. That was really good. So, all right, so we're going to, I've got 9 grams-ish in there, so we're gonna do 250 grams of water. I'm gonna see what that looks like. 250 grams of water. Yeah, 260. Why not? 250 some odd grams of water. Okay, so I'm gonna let this steep. I'm gonna steep for about 5 minutes here. Some of it's already, look at how it dangles. Can you kind of see? Here, let me do it this way. You can kind of see it dangling. Some have fallen to the bottom already. Isn't that cool? And then they plump up as the water goes through them. I'm out here. Let me get a spoon. Give it a little bit of a stir here while we're. Make sure everything gets a little bit of a wetness to it so it can absorb some. There's a hard one right here. What is that? Is that a full one? Huh. It sounds like a nut. Oh, it's pretty neat. It's supposed to. It does have caffeine in it, though it doesn't have as much caffeine as, say, a cup of coffee. Probably just like a regular tea. If your tea has caffeine in it, it's probably like a regular tea. Let me take a look over here at the top. That's pretty neat. That's the one right here. This one right here feels like a full bean. It does look like a full bean, doesn't it? That's interesting. We'll fish it out at the end and see if we can figure that out. But yeah, I saw this and I thought, boy, that looks really cool. What would that taste like? And I couldn't help myself. It arrived on Friday last week, which is good because we went to my parents' house on Saturday. That for my father's birthday, that was on Sunday. So I'm glad it arrived and didn't sit in the mailbox for a couple of days. There's a lot of tea in there. I mean, if that's a cup, you know, there's a lot of tea in here, and it's just such a neat thing. And you know, and it's not wasteful. I'm pretty sure in my first cup though, I'm pretty sure I got a stem and a leaf. Look at this. Isn't that fascinating? Look how it's all dried up. Just completely dried up. Whoop. Like I said, it smells like raisins. I always wanted to try a coffee bean, or a coffee cherry, just for giggles. But yeah, so hopefully I'll be paying attention to their website, and when they get to the end of their growing season, they do this natural process. But that's the washed process. You can see they're green. All of the stuff is taken off, and then, you know, they have a honey process. It's so delicious. I took it home, tried it with Mom. She ran out of coffee filters. I don't know how. I think they've been misplaced, is what I think. But that's okay. So after a little bit of a stir, everything's kind of moved down to the middle. So most of it's kind of floating in the middle of everything. And that bean right there, it fascinates me. I know it's gonna be hot. Well, I guess it feels empty. It's squishy. If a bug comes out, I'm gonna scream. No, see here. See if I can get it open. I mean, is that a lot of fruit? That's just a lot of fruit. It smells earthy. Earthy and raisiny. I might have said the same thing twice. But yeah, look at that. In there's the, I think that might be a bean. No, it's not a bean. That's the shell, the outer shell of the bean. It's just been taken off so perfectly, it just looks like that it is, I think. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. It just smells really good. So we're coming up to the 5-minute mark. I'm pretty sure that's long enough to steep. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's long enough to steep. I'm going to find a little bit of a stir there. And then we're going to press through. We're going to see what we get here. These things, I mean, I suppose that they're better, but I don't know. Those strainers are so weird. They just don't seem to do. And it scrapes. This is glass, so it scrapes along the inside, and that's a little disconcerting. So, all right, so we'll take her down to the bottom. At the very least, we'll use this as a strainer. Should I get a clear glass? Ding! There we go. My tiny clear glass. I'm gonna put it down on the ground so I can hold the top because I don't trust it. Very tea, isn't it? Doesn't it look very tea? It's a nice brewed tea. Ooh, that smells really good. Like I said, it's less raisiny because of the tartness and the berry kind of flavor profiles. It tastes more cherry. Oh, it's got a certain sweetness to it. You don't have to add anything. It does recommend adding honey if you don't think it tastes as sweet as you would want it to be. But for me, this is perfectly sweet. It's just like this lovely cherry, little bit of tartness in the tea. And then, it's really hard to describe like normal tea, like a Lipton, it's like, it tastes like tea. That's about the best you can do. Unless you've got some, if you've got, special taste bud skills, you can probably find flavors. This just tastes very bright. There's no bitterness to it at all. It's got that lovely cherry tart fruit flavor to it. And it's just a wonderful way to use pieces that are normally discarded. And now, of course, these cherries are biodegradable, so they'll go back into the soil and, they'll add, to the soil and whatnot. But for human consumption, sustainability is always good. In the end, you want to use just about every piece that you can. And this cascara definitely makes it delicious. This is great. So this is the sun-dried cascara from the coffee bean, the coffee cherry. Let me pull out something that's a little bit more nice to look at here. Maybe I can find something. I swear, and it's not a knock on this. I mean, of course this tastes great, but I swear the first time I poured out some tea to make, I got a leaf. Of course, these do look like leaves, don't they? Don't they look like leaves? Smushed out leaves. But I know I got a stem, which is absolutely fine. I'm gonna pull my phone back out here because this often gets confused with something else. Because apparently there's a cascara that word right there. It's dried tree bark, which makes it sound like a Vietnamese kind of coffee, because that's called chicory. But let's see here. So cascara remains somewhat rare. It can be found in several roasteries around the United States, Europe, and Australia. Well, count them as one of the places around America and Puerto Rico. Cafe owners interested in bringing cascara to their shops can purchase the tea from aforementioned Sweet Maria's or from roasters who sell their products wholesale. And then they go into the marketing of it. Coffee cherry tea also gives cafe operators a great talking point as they interact with customers who want to interact, which is probably 1 out of 30. So so apparently it sounds similar to a different tea, which is this dried tree bark from a California buckthorn tree that's often used for laxative purposes. Well, shit. This hasn't given me any ill effects whatsoever. Or as far as I can tell, any beneficial effects. It just tastes really good. Ooh, good. Ooh, it's steeped a little bit longer, so it's a little bit darker. Look at that. It seems like the longer you let this go, unlike other tea, it just seems like the longer you let this go, the more flavor you're going to pull out of it. You definitely still want it to be hot. They also do a cold method where you just fill it up with water and tea and then put it in the freezer for 24 hours. So that might be something in the future that I try. But that is so lovely. That is so great. If you get a chance, or if you see it somewhere, pick up some of this. This is sun-dried cascara. It is the dried fruit from your coffee, because they take the fruit off and then we eat or drink, because I know people that do eat coffee beans, usually coated in chocolate. We eat the seed, the bean that's on the inside, and then we've been discarding the outside of the fruit. And this is fantastic, and I would definitely recommend it. I think this was only $10. Let me double check that for you. I'm pretty sure it was just $10. Because the honey processed is $17.99. Yeah, the coffee cherry tea is $10. You get 3.5 ounces, which is 100 grams. But there's a lot of tea in here, and especially if this is as much as you're using for 1 cup. You know, they say always use more, always use less, always use more water, always use less. Find your taste. Did they have the other one? No, they didn't have the other one up here. I'm excited to, yeah, the first time I see it, I'm like buying it. I mean, it could be 30 bucks for a pound. Worth it to try it. I'd be very excited to try it. But this is great, and I highly recommend it if you ever see it in a store or see it online, or you go to their website and you find it there. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for watching this morning. I hope that you learned a little bit. I know it's not coffee, but it is coffee tea that does not taste like coffee at all. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Bye. I thought you'd be interested to know what these look like after they've been rehydrated. And they're very soft. Yeah, don't do that. But they're very soft. They filled themselves back out nicely. And all of their wonderful tea and cherry goodness has been removed. Look at this. Here's a bean. Here's a bean. Prior to being roasted. So that's kind of what they look like, except this one's a little bit more on the weird side because it went through whatever process they go through to dry these cherries out. So, but yeah, too cool. Okay, done now. Bye.